Can you start now? Alright. Oh, baby. We nailed it in the first try. Look at that. Okay.
Huzzah!
I know, right? We rarely nail it the first try. Boom. Go over to this tab. Let's grab my hashtags. I made a bunch of hashtags ready. Couch tomatoes with at Stout. Twitch.tv/skin slip. Can I not fuck my own username up? Thanks.
No, you're not allowed to not fuck it up. You have to fuck it up.
I hate
It's
you.
required.
I hate you. Okay, why is there no Wayne's World gift with them just sitting on the couch? It's all I wanted. It's all I wanted. It was like, hey, do we have a gif of the
Yeah, but you don't get to be happy, so.
I can't spell couch either. Fucking. Okay, here, this will do. Sim at the party. Fantastic.
That'll do.
That'll do, pig. That'll do. And then I gotta run over here. Mark, this is
Party
red.
time. Excellent.
Promote. Live now. Boop. And then post that here. Here. Do 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 do. Alright. Everything's done. All the back end shit's done. Let's talk about movies. We got
Movie.
I think we have 2 weeks worth of movies here to talk about too. I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
We got where did we leave? Oh, North by Northwest, or was that the week before? Shit.
I don't recall us talking about it. I mean, we talked about North by Northwest together. Just I don't know if we did on the show.
Yeah, I don't think we did it on the show. I think that was after. I think it was the first movie after. All right. Yeah, we got a bunch of nothing to really talk about. Bride of Re-Animator. You want to go just start with that?
Yes.
With the Joe Bob episode we watched.
Sure. Uh, First of all, it's a great Joe Bob episode just because we get to see Jeffrey Combs. He actually does an interview with Joe Bob in this episode.
Hell
It's
yeah, via TV monitor.
as great as you would expect it to be because Jeffrey Combs. But other than that, the movie itself, this was my first time seeing it. I had seen Re-Animator before, but I'd never seen Bride of Re-Animator. And um, getting into it, it felt like a natural progression from Re-Animator,
I mean, basically
which
picks
is
right up
great.
after. Yeah.
And it, I feel like, I don't know if it adds anything to the character
I
of the
don't
Doctor,
think the character changes much or anything. No, he's still self-centered
but
snot.
like, it basically, if you don't understand who this person is and the type of character that he is, then this one, like, I feel like fully develops who he is. What is Dr. West? Is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah. Fully develops like
Herbert
the
West specifically.
flaws of Herbert West.
Took me a moment.
Flaws of Herbert West.
I was like,
Um,
trying to remember.
but also we get to see really great or not animatronic work. Well, I guess there was
Special effects. There's a lot of really great
special
effects. But
effects.
Screaming Mad George of all people.
Special effects, yes.
I think that's right. I mean,
And
he did the effects. I think on the first one too. Not mistaken. Right. It's been a while. I'm gonna go look it up.
I mean, for the first, I would say half of the movie
Screaming
though,
Mad George. Yeah, he did the first.
I feel like it's
This
a
one only.
bit slow in the first half. That's fine though because it's like, it's establishing the story and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But for damn sure, throughout the first half of the movie, I'm thinking to myself, "This is good. I like this. This is entertaining." And then the last half, particularly like the last 15 minutes, it was just like, "Oh my fucking god, this is amazing!" And I love this more than the original Re-Animator. You know?
Mm-hmm. I think I like that the effects are definitely a step up. He definitely, I like that the effects are definitely a step up. He definitely, I think, I like the effects are definitely a step up. He definitely, I think, I like that the effects are definitely a step up. He definitely, I think, I like that the effects are definitely a step up. He definitely, goes the full nine with like the effects. I mean, like the weird the triclops finger thing with the eye with the one eye thing. That's such a cool thing. And I know
Yeah,
there's like a reproduction online, and I really want to get it just because it looks just that damn cool. It's so fucking cool.
but even aside from the effects, which obviously the last 15 to 20 minutes, for those who know, is like full of special effects,
Yeah, it's an
as make you
extravaganza,
wonder.
one would say.
But on top of that, like the acting and like the message behind the characters in these parts of the film is just fucking fantastic.
This was directed by Brian Musna, also, who also did Society and Return of the Living Dead Part 3 and Necronomicon and Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4. Apparently. And both dentist movies. I forgot about that. Damn. I need to see those.
It just made me think about a lot of different things. There was a
Mm-hmm.
point at which I was when I was watching it and thinking about the amalgam of different women who were attached together to create the Bride of Re-Animator. Spoiler.
Spoiler. It's in the title.
Yeah. Um, it made me think to myself about like just the history of Jack the Ripper,
Mm.
and
Interesting.
in some ways it feels like there are elements of that story in this.
It,
Very minimal elements of that story in
it
this, but
feels
they
kind
do
of like
exist.
yet another update to the Burke and Hare story, too, to some degree.
Yes,
You
yes.
know? Like, we've
Well,
seen a
that's the thing
couple of
about
things.
Jack the Ripper, though. Like a lot of people think, with good reason, that it wasn't just one person; it was two people at least who
Well,
were committing those
and he
crimes.
suddenly stopped killing, which means he went somewhere else for sure. He just
Yeah.
moved on. He just moved somewhere else.
Well, it's
So
funny.
he's either
Like
apprehended somewhere else for something else, or
it's funny. One of the people that
got
is
away with it now.
suspected of being the killer is somebody who, right after the killing stopped, moved to the United States.
Yeah.
So
One of my favorite things, and I really want them to make a documentary about it, is this book called "The Man from the Train." Have you ever heard of it?
no.
Okay, so you know all those like the axe murders of Basilica and like all those things that happen. There's like a slew of them across the United States. Well, they're in chronological order almost, most of them, and
Hmm.
they run by the train lines, and they're and a lot of the commonality is that they took in a stranger, left a train station or somewhere else who wanted odd jobs and a place to stay or whatever, murders everybody
Yeah.
and leaves in the night, gets on the train and goes. And it happens multiple times. And
Well,
this book strings it all together with a theory, and I'm like, that's a really strong theory. I want a true crime series based on it. Literally, it's just like
that
this axe
sounds cool.
murder,
Yeah.
this axe murder. This is like this is the same thing over and over again. Here's how it ties together. Anyway, sorry, we got sidetracked.
But
Welcome to
yes,
the
it
show.
is interesting how like we see this happen with Burke and Hare. We saw it happen potentially with the Jack the Ripper story. That is very likely there were two people involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole murdering duo, not just one person, but two people working together to commit murders, um, serial killings. It just keeps cropping up, popping up throughout history, and then you see this reflected in Bride of Reanimator
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I I
there's always at least one really disturbing sociopath behind it, and that's Dr. West in this
I
case.
did notice that this is the third film I've seen with Brian Newson's obsession with like bodies like changing shape in some way. Like they're all like in this one it's like someone's forcing the train change, but like Return of the Living Dead, the person gets like the lady gets bit and then she starts modifying her
Mhm.
body with shards of glass and spikes and shit, like stabbing into her flesh. And Society's got the shunting. Like there's this whole like body
Yes.
horror thing that users attracted to or obsessed with. Yeah, he was the producer of most of Stuart Gordon's like early films, so Re-Animator, From Beyond, and Dolls. There's a couple more.
Well, body horror is very much about that, like changing of the human body or discomfort with the human body as is, isn't it? Kind of, sort of talking about that to a certain degree. Oh, what do they call it? When you're not comfortable in your own skin and you don't know why.
Hey, it's called dysphoria.
Dysphoria, yes, body
And
dysphoria.
and that's more like
And I
dysmorphia.
feel
That's
like,
body dysmorphia, you should say.
yeah,
Which is a little
yeah.
different, where you see your body not quite how it is reflected in reality.
Well, in this case, it would be something more like what happened with what's his face, the Metamorphosis, Franz Kafka.
Kafka,
Franz Kafka.
yes. In
Yeah,
this case, in Brighter
Kafka.
Re-Animator, it does kind of like loosely touch on the idea of like not feeling right in your skin, obviously, because there's a brain transplanted in these weird, deformed bodies. So I can, as someone trapped in a weird, deformed body, I can really relate to some of these monstrous characters in these movies.
Hmm.
But I think Bride Reanimator is the best sequel. I don't, you know, they've talked about making like uh, 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 a Reanimator in Chief or whatever, which would be like Herbert West has called him to reanimate the president. And now, of all times, it could be such an amazing like commentary on the fervor of the right. Like you could totally do that. Anyway, but now would be the time for like the Reanimator number 4, where he reanimates the president to happen. Because like before it would have been cool, but like now I think more than ever it's be pertinent and
Yes,
interesting.
it would be. I think there it would be easy for them to draw parallels between
Mm-hmm.
what's happening in politics, not just in the United States, but around the world right now, uh, and uh, and the story of the film, the potential story for the film.
I would say
I still need to see the third movie though, Beyond
neither have
Reanimator.
I. I haven't seen it yet either.
Oh,
So other two I've seen, I think Bride's the stronger film. I think regular Reanimator, the first Reanimator, is a better story because the story gets a little lost in the weeds a bit. It meanders for a little bit of it in the middle, and there's a bunch of slapsticky stuff with like trying to hide the gore, the weird gore creature, and like there's little bits here and there that like I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm not opposed to. It's not like it's an instant turn off or anything. These elements did exist in Reanimator, um,
yeah.
and I think in some ways the effects are better here in some ways and better in other ways in Reanimator. Some effects like the severed head effects in Re-Animator are top notch, and then like some of the other like other stop motion type animations like are really amazing in Bride. Anyway, I'm rambling. Why don't you introduce Glitch in the Matrix while I smoke some weed so I can ramble better?
Ah, Glitch in the Matrix. For those who don't know,
2020
uh,
wood.
if anybody is familiar, that bunch of stuff's about to fall over here. Anybody's familiar with this movie right here, Room 237? The same guy, Rodney Asher, who directed this film,
And the Nightmare.
also and The Nightmare, also went on to direct more recently a another documentary called A Glitch in the Matrix. This one having to do with um what's the
People are
phrase?
obsessed with that we're trapped in a simulation. I don't know what it's
The
called.
simulation, yeah, the simulation theory.
But these people
And
are
well,
obsessed with it. Let me
various
say.
simulation theories.
Yes.
And really it's interesting to see the way that Rodney Asher does documentaries because he legitimately will just like put the camera in front of people with these wild theories and wild ideas and let them talk and give them a platform on which to say, this is what I
Whatever
think this
insane
means, or
shit they
this is what
decided to
I
spit
think is
out.
happening.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. That's what happens in this case as well. If you recall, with the Room 237, there are all these crazy theories. One of the guys is
Oh my
talking
god, the
about
moon landing. Sorry.
the moon landing.
The
Yeah, one of the guys is
Minotaur and
talking
the
about
fucking
all.
image. And, oh my god, sorry.
Yeah, and then there's somebody else talking about the Native American mythology.
Oh, would. Yeah.
That's potentially in the film. And then there's another person who talks about running the film forwards and backwards and seeing what
At the same time.
matches and whatnot at the same time. Yeah. Um, so like there are all these different theories and all these different people putting forward their own ideas of what's going on in that movie. Uh, and it's focused on the Shining. But this movie, A Glitch in the Matrix, is taking that concept for a documentary and making it about simulation theory. Are we in a simulation? Uh, what does that simulation look like? And all that stuff.
And while
So,
previously he anonymized people with shadows, in this case he used this one of them 3D avatar programs to give someone an avatar over their
yes,
body. So that's kind of cool, considering we're talking
it
about being a
was
simulation.
interesting.
I do have to give
Yeah.
one content warning those who are sensitive. There is a true crime element to this. That if you're not okay with that kind of stuff, do be aware. There's one interviewee subject who murdered his parents, and he talks very vividly about his thought processes leading up to it, and so like that might upset you if that. I have to warn you because that was like it took me for a loop. Because we're watching, he's talking about how he's riding around in the car and it feels like it's all a stage in front of him, and then he's talking about years later, and then suddenly he goes on this tangent about murdering his parents and shit. And I was like, fuck, what? But yeah, Glitch in the Matrix it's on Hulu. We watched it on Hulu. Fuck, man, what a mind trip. Every single one of those movies have been to some degree. I mean, bravo for that.
Yes.
I would
I
say if you are a fan of recreational drugs and watching movies together, all his movies would go well with your favorite recreational drug, cannabis
whatever it may
especially,
be.
because like we were in this movie watching it on Hulu, and I just went into the fucking weeds of some stuff because like I was bonkers high, like holy shit. So on the weekends I will get really high. It's a thing. It's my weekend, right? Anyway, sidetracked. I thought this was. I really fucking like this documentary. I think this might be Rodney Asher's best. I think
Really?
Nightmare's really, really good. And I think Room 237 comes off haphazard, but I think that haphazardness is intentional. Especially there's a scene where you hear a fucking baby crying in the background. That's intentional. He could have just cut that out. He just cut that out. So it makes a
Uh,
similar point. But no, he left that part in because it breaks this weird surreality of it. Or like in Nightmare when he's like interviewing people in the fucking these weird like spaces that are like like living rooms and bedrooms, like weirdness. It's his choices are always interesting and a little trippy. Sorry, I didn't mean to steamroll. I had to get that idea out.
Um, so I disagree with the idea that this is his best work. Not that I think it's his worst or that it's
It's not
bad.
bad. No, of course not.
It's not bad at all. It's just I wouldn't say it's the best. I liked Room 237 and The Nightmare better than this. But this is still a really good documentary and one I highly recommend watching if you're interested in simulation theory.
If you like The
Especially for
Matrix, I mean, it's a nice little companion piece to watch in The Matrix too.
it's not just the Matrix though, but
No, of
yeah.
course not. It's just it talks a lot about The Matrix. That's all.
As we were watching it, I couldn't stop thinking about how like, wonder if like what if the Bible was talking about in some ways simulation theory
We got in
itself?
the weeds about this shit,
Yeah,
like we did.
because it's entirely possible. Um, a lot of the things you read in the Bible kind of fit into simulation theory in some ways. I'm not even a religious person, and I was just
Or a
thinking about that.
simulation
That's
theory believer,
interesting. Yeah.
necessarily.
Uh,
I think it's very plausible, but I don't know if I would say I'm a believer per se, you know? I
right?
won't know
Like
until I'm dead, right?
agnostic is my
Always
approach,
agnostic. Open to whatever, but agnostic, yeah.
but either way, like the ideas that are put forward in this are very interesting. Some of them kind of show you how it can be very dangerous to get into this kind of stuff if you don't know what you're doing. Number one, and if you are
Psychologically
uh,
susceptible.
psychologically susceptible, prone to this certain mental problems. If you have a mental disorder, basically, where you are likely to dissociate if you get into stuff like this,
Or
it
maybe
is very dangerous. It is very
it,
dangerous.
you have to be careful with this movie
To,
if like if you're like somebody who is susceptible to like not trusting their reality, because I know some people have
yeah.
like those kind of issues, and like I would say you probably shouldn't watch this movie. It's not gonna help you. It's gonna
But
make you think about some
what I
bad
like
things.
about the movie is that it talks about how some of these people probably were just experiencing severe
Dissociation.
dissociation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Psychological
And
detachment in some cases.
DID in some
In some cases, yeah.
cases. Um, so uh, eh, that is also an explanation for potentially what creates the idea of a simulation theory in and of itself. Why people think that this is all a simulation to begin with, potentially because they have some kind of a
So
dissociation disorder.
what like it's described very plainly in the film. Like this guy talks about like he's a kid and he's like just really confused with the world, and that was his
Mhm.
explanation, and he just built upon that. Because if you don't have proper guidance, you can build this fantasy world that fits within the real world, and then like you've got built up all these core beliefs that aren't true or something. Like it can be really dangerous. It can be really dangerous. So like if like you're feeling like I don't know. Like I sometimes feel like I'm in a simulation, but mostly just because I feel like it's a silly little explanation as to the synchronicity of the universe sometimes, and like
I had also, I
almost.
think,
I mean, like for months and months and months and months. I should say for years. Me and me and Stout have been doing this show, Saturday Night Insanity, on our French channel, Zen Rack, and on that show we will talk about stuff we really want. Within weeks, they would be an announcement. And I mean, we're talking about obscure stuff sometimes, stuff nobody's given a crap about for 20 years. And then suddenly, Nothing But Trouble, a movie we have gushed about for 30 fucking minutes in the middle of our show, suddenly gets a Blu-ray release. Like, gets announced. I'm like, yes, this is like so. Like, I don't believe I'm in a simulation, but fuck, the synchronicity of the universe is wild sometimes, and way too often for me.
yes. Um, Damn it, I lost what I was going to
I am
say.
so sorry. It happens, but I am sorry all the same.
Yeah. Uh, so like, yeah, it could be dissociation. It could be something else entirely. Like, it's entirely possible that we are in a simulation. But I like that they look into very different ideas of what it could be, and into various aspects of the theory, and
Mm-hmm.
how, like, I can't stop thinking about how Elon Musk said,
Oh God.
"What are the of all the people, Elon
Yeah,
Musk? I
he's
know,
quoted way
I
too
don't,
often in this
I
documentary.
don't
Heads up.
like him either. I'm not a big Elon Musk fan. I think he's kind of a shitty person. But when he
He's an
said, "What
incredibly
are the,"
shitty person.
but when
He's
he
got a cool
said,
car. Like that's
but
it.
when he said, but when he said that, what are the chances that we're the base one universe and not very likely? I was like, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah,
If we are in a simulation, or if
but
simulated worlds are possible, then the chances we are the base one's universe are very, very slim,
but
very minute.
but
You know?
to be fair, this existence is worth because like I mean like even if this is a simulation, it's worth it to stay here because if you're a piece of code and you blip out, that's it. You had one time to experience this world, so you might as well enjoy whatever you can find in this world,
Well,
right? Like
yeah,
so it's
they
like
talk about
it's
that
kind of like
too in
that.
the
You're not gonna
documentary.
necessarily wake up if you're a character in a game in a simulation. You might
Yeah,
just snuff out, like uh,
we don't
anyone
know
else
what the
might.
situation is.
Yeah, we don't know.
You don't know if you're
Assuming,
fucking wearing a VR headset or what. We don't know what
yeah,
the
or maybe we're plugged
situation
in
is.
like the Matrix. I don't fucking know.
Because, like, well, The Sims is a video game, and there are simulated
This
lives in
documentary
The
just
Sims.
fucked this up.
But, uh, like, when we stop playing The Sims, those characters no longer exist.
Or
They're
do
just
they?
gone. Wow, that's a good
Well, that's
question.
one thing I found interesting was that guy was like, described described his dissociation like it felt like someone walked away from the controls. And I'm like, that's a really
Oh yeah,
interesting way to describe it. Because someone did walk away from the controls. You did. Your brain walked away from
yeah,
the controls, and you just sat there.
yep.
I dissociate. As someone who dissociates, sometimes live on stream, like, yeah. Sometimes you're just sitting there. Huh? Oh, 5 minutes. I'm so sorry, chat. I get distracted. Whatever I'm doing. Things like that. It happens. I mean, you know.
Blade says, when I get deja vu, I'm like, wait, I've done this exact same thing before. Am I in the simulation? Uh, I can't remember if they talk about that in the documentary. I think they do, but I know we talked about it during
We
the
talked about it, but they did not in the
documentary.
documentary, actually.
Uh, and I still personally believe that deja vu is an experience of like a chemical in your brain,
The
kind of a
misfiring of like
chemical
of a memory or something, right?
misfiring. Yeah, I had that experience just like a couple hours ago, an hour or two ago. And I was like, "Oh God, the deja vu chemicals are entering my brain right now."
I would I'm not like that. I would say um um
Because it's not
I
like for me.
believe
It's
deja vu is something. I don't know what it is cuz if we are in multiple simulations, who's to say that they're not curated data together and like sometimes data is sent the wrong direction and I get a little bit of data from someone else and then I experience that thing that someone else already experienced. Another me has experienced in another simulation. I mean, like, who knows? Is my point. Like,
I
I don't
guess,
fucking
but
know, but I don't. I feel it feels like when I experience deja vu and I experience it regularly enough, I feel like I'm remembering something I have forgotten, but it's like it feels like an ancient memory. It's weird.
yes. See, that's the thing.
Yeah,
So I was going to ask you about was, is it like they depict in the Matrix, which I've always had a problem with, because in the Matrix they
it's
depict
like
it
seeing it happen again.
as seeing it happen and then immediately seeing it happen again. But in my mind, whenever I have a deja vu, it's feeling as if this happened a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's happening again. The exact
Well,
same
it's
sequence
really
of
interesting
events, the
because
exact same words are being said.
I I have
You
weirdly
know,
prophetic dreams. I think it's just that my brain is really smart about what people might say. And I'm just dreaming things up and then having those conversations coincidentally with those people because it's in my subconscious. Because what's happening is I have a conversation with you. This like whatever conversation about fucking Hot Wheels because I went on a tangent or something, right? I will have dreamt that entire fucking conversation, your responses and everything before the entire fucking conversation. And while talking to you, I'll remember the entire. As soon as I'm talking to you about one of the topics, I'll immediately remember the entire conversation, and I'll just be sitting here going, "Uh huh, uh huh." Like I know what you're gonna say, and it's so that's a weird fucking feeling. It's not quite deja vu,
it is.
but it's a weird feeling, and I'm sure it's just my brain is just
Yeah, that's
smart.
what I'm
I
thinking it
don't know.
is. It's just like
Fucking knows.
because whenever I have that experience, I'm just like, okay, there's literally no way that I like would have been able to foretell or that there would have been any reason for me to remember this having happened already, if
Right?
that makes
This
sense.
has never
You
happened
know,
before, but I remember
it's like,
like yesterday
why
it has
the
happened.
fuck would I choose to have? Why would there be a reason for me to have deja vu about this particular set of events, which is so meaningless and unimportant? You know, like it
Right?
just it doesn't make any sense, and therefore I just come to
Like
the conclusion
there's
this is definitely just chemicals in my brain telling me I've seen this before.
so like the weirdly
Or,
prophetic dreams, the constant deja vu, like it. Some days I feel more strongly than others that we're in a simulation, and I would be lying if I said that this documentary didn't kind of mess me up for a day. So I
mm,
and I was lost in thoughts and really distant, and I was kind of sorting shit out. And it's not like it's a deep one; it just hits me deep because it's closer to
Mhm.
my own center, but like it's interesting. I really absolutely enjoyed Into the Matrix. A Glitch in the Matrix, excuse me. And I recommend Rodney Asher's other two documentaries, Room 237 and The Nightmare. He's done a few
Do you?
other little things here and there, but those are the three big
I have
ones.
a question. Do you find the idea of simulation theory more comforting or terrifying?
Neither. I'm neither
Neither.
comforted nor terrified by existence as a
Apathetic
whole.
to it.
Like,
All right.
if I knew God existed or if I didn't know, it wouldn't make a difference to me. Like, other than I would know that answer. To me, like, it doesn't make a
Oddly
difference.
enough, I
I
find
wouldn't
it.
act any different because I'm me, and I decided not too long ago that
Yeah.
only a few years ago that I'm just gonna stop being anything but me. So
Yeah.
anyway, no.
Oddly enough, I find it more comforting. I don't know why, but I think that's probably
Because
also
then you know
possibly
there is
why
actually a
people.
creator, someone, you know.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably why people want to believe in this stuff too, is
Yeah, they
because
live in a world that's
it is
increasingly godless,
potentially comforting, you know,
and they seek a new god, almost.
especially in today's world that's really
I
fucked
mean,
up for a
you
lot of
call him your
reasons.
creator, you call him God, a coder of the simulation. What difference would that be? Honestly, the coder could just write new codes, can strike you down with a lightning bolt that he decided to program in a flash, and like, like, what difference is it between him and a god? I don't think much.
Yeah,
On a fundamental level of like power level in the universe, if we are in a simulation.
yeah.
I mean, maybe we shouldn't be worshiping Dave. Is all I'm saying. Dave might not want to be worshipped. He might feel really uncomfortable with an
Dave's
entire
not
world
here, man.
religion worshiping him. Dave's not here, man. Fuck you. All right, let's move on. Fuck's sakes, we've given a lot of space to this movie. Let's talk about Tomb of Ligeia. Do you remember Tomb of Ligeia from 2 weeks ago?
um,
Doubling back a bit from a week
kind
ago. I
of.
mean, not 2 weeks ago. A week ago.
Yeah, kind of.
So, like, Vincent Price plays Verdon Fell, and he's like depressed because that his wife died, and
Yeah.
uh,
It's funny, like we also
fuck.
watched Tales of Terror, right?
Oh
Which
God,
also
Zal,
stars Vincent Price.
which
And
also
he
has someone being
also
entombed
has
in
a
a wall.
character well, it also has a character he plays that's pretty fucking depressed and it's like a rich white guy in a
God damn
mansion
it!
and
Now you're
it's
muddling
very
my
much a
brain.
similar
I can't. I
story,
now I can't tell
you
if I'm
know?
remembering Tomb of Ligeia or if I'm remembering Tales of Terror now. Fuck. No, I'm serious. I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
Which bricking am I remembering?
I'm gonna be very honest
Which
with you.
morose Vincent Price?
I prefer Tales of Terror to Tomb of Gaia because I remember thinking Tomb of Gaia was uh not as good as some of the other
Oh,
movies
Tomb of
that he
Gaia is like one of my
done.
favorites. Like, I made it 8 out of 10. I watched this twice now, so that was a rewatch for me. Tales of Terror was the
It
first
was like
watch
a
for me.
7 out of 10 for me. So,
Yeah, Tales of Terror was a 7 out of 10 for me. So
and I
cool.
like that one a little bit better.
Yeah, so that's. See, chat. When I say that Justin's like the most close to me in film taste, this is what I'm talking about. Like we're real
We're
close.
usually like
We're usually the
just
same. Usually we're the same, but we just do
right,
this little and
slight
occasionally I'm way up
variances.
here and he's way down here, but like sometimes he just hates a movie that I love and vice versa. It just happens. Why do you
It's
love
very
Major
rare
League?
though.
Why do you love Major League?
Mm, It's funny.
Major League 2 of all things.
Not Major League Two, actually. I think that's the weakest of the bunch. Major League Back to the
Oh
Minors
my
is my
god, that one
favorite.
sucks so bad. It would hurt
It's
me.
not
That one
Scott
hurt me.
Bakula. Scott
It's the only good
Bakula.
thing about that fucking movie. Everything else is just awkward
There
and
are so many
bad.
memorable lines in that movie. I love.
Oh my god, we'll have to do a commentary for that at some point because I haven't seen it since it came out. Because I
Uh,
have fond memories of Major League 2 on TV all the time as a kid, right? So,
I
like,
couldn't help but think about that this year too, because this year in baseball, in Major League Baseball, there was this major crackdown on foreign substances being used to to get a better grip on the baseball for pitchers, and that's one of the things that happens in very beginning of that movie, where he gets caught using a foreign
Vaseline or
substance
whatever,
and
I
gets
think.
thrown out of the game. Actually, no, I think it was something that was like cooling down the ball. I can't remember what it was.
What
It
the
was some
fuck?
kind of a uh,
Icy hot or something?
icy hot. Yeah, it was
On the
icy hot
ball? Why?
on the ball to get a better
Cooling the
grip or
ball.
something. I have no fucking clue.
Cooling down the ball. What the fuck? So you just
It's
said
been a
that I
while
was
since
like,
I've
is he
seen it
talking about
too.
icy hot? You know?
I just remember there being like the reason that they caught him was that there was like a trail of fucking uh of smoke or whatever coming off the ball or
Oh
something.
god, I have to rewatch that apparently. I know we watched
Yeah.
it twice for the very first League of Extraordinary Cinephiles because I was trying to do a new format where I'd record multiple audios and then take the best takes of whatever jokes came out of it. But like everyone got bored after watching the movie second, and I was like the second time I was like, wow, you guys wanted to survive the Mystery Science Theater gang because I had to watch that movie like 5 times sometimes. I mean like, and then you have to record it, and so the movie's playing in front of you, so you're watching it again.
And again,
Sometimes you
oh,
watch the same parts over and over and over again.
how did they do it?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's
But
called
anyway,
professionalism. Something my friends lack.
I do not condone.
Sorry.
I am the least professional person you will ever meet.
You're actually more professional than I am, to be fair.
But to give you an idea, like right
Not that
before
much, saying much,
we
but
started the show, I was like, I'll just stop working on this article that I'm editing right now and get back to it after the show, which is not something a professional would do, but it's
meanwhile,
something I do because I can. Because I
me,
can.
Queen Slacker, was 20 minutes into Son of Godzilla and realized, oh, I have to poop. And then, while pooping, I was like, oh yeah, I've got a fucking show. God damn it. And I texted him, show? He's like, show.
Show.
And here we are. Now we're doing a show.
Um,
We've been doing a show
so,
for about 37 minutes now.
so what's the next movie on the docket?
Tales of Terror. Do you want to talk about that since you can't remember that either? Do you remember the other two segments in it?
Tales of Terror is probably one of my favorite uh, of the Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe movies. Not only because it's horror anthology, which I love,
The
but
set, folks. If the people are not listening to the audio version in the future when that
yeah.
exists, I haven't. Love that back box.
But I love Tales of Terror because of the story. What's the fucking story with Peter Lorre and
The Black Cat.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's the
Black
Black
Cat.
Cat actually. Yeah,
He's the rakish lover of the wife of. Yeah.
yeah. He
Vincent
plays
Price
a
is the rakish
drunkard.
lover of the wife of Peter Lorre, who naturally
Yes,
plots death
Peter
and
Lorre
revenge.
plays the drunkard who
Plays that
who's just
character so well.
terrible to his wife and keeps trying to take all of his wife's money to go get more drunk, you
Shit
know.
house. Yeah.
And one night when he gets thrown out of a bar, he ends up walking along the street and comes across a wine tasting event where Vincent
That's my favorite part of the
Vincent
movie.
yeah Vincent Price is playing like a wine connoisseur, and he challenges the wine connoisseur. Peter Lorre's character challenges the wine connoisseur to like a taste off or whatever the fuck. Like
Yeah,
figure out
to
what,
guess the name of the
yeah,
wine every time. But
and the vintage
tell,
of it and
now
everything.
tell
And the idea behind it, though, like the whole reason he's doing it is because he's a fucking drunk and
he's
he
an
just wants
alcoholic.
to
Yeah.
get more booze, basically,
Yeah.
for free.
So he tells the wine pour to pour like more and more wine to like giant.
Yes.
So the Vincent Price taking these little things and switching them out. Peter Lorre's just the whole thing at once.
Yes.
And I'm just like, what? And then he keeps guessing it because he's an alcohol connoisseur.
It's brilliant.
It's the
hilarious.
best fucking moment in the movie.
But
So I gotta say, the three segments of this movie kind of bled together, and by the end of the movie, I just felt like it was one long movie about the trivials of Vincent Price going through these various phases in his life. I didn't like.
it kind of does feel like that,
yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
Because they're all basically stories that he's already done before. And what I noticed is that they're not necessarily like full on Edgar Allan Poe stories. They are based on Edgar Allan Poe stories. And
Mm-hmm.
each one takes elements from various Edgar Allan Poe stories and puts them in as an amalgamation into one new story, essentially. The Black Cat is not necessarily, it's like a combination of that and
Tomb of
the
Amontillado.
yeah, Cask of Amontillado.
Cask of Amontillado, excuse me, that's
Yeah.
what it's called.
Um,
So, yeah, and then there's
the last one
this
was
Price.
probably an
We never talked about
amalgamation
the
of
first one.
Kumagaya and
The first one was Price plays a tormented man forced to confront his dark family secret. And his daughter tracked him down. You remember that part? Didn't Price talk to
yeah.
his daughter? I don't remember that. It's one story. My brain's like gone.
Oh, well, yeah. His
My memory's lost it.
well, no, I don't remember the whole damn thing. It's definitely the weakest of the stories, but I do remember him like not liking his daughter because his wife died not 6 months after she gave
Oh
birth to her
yes,
daughter
he was mad at his daughter for killing his wife,
and
even though his
blamed
wife
yeah,
thought his daughter was a kid, a baby.
yeah. And then the when she ends up getting coming down with an illness, which is the reason she comes back to see him. Um, he uh, the brain fart. No, I looked and saw skin slip popping. I couldn't help it. Sorry. Um, basically, the dead wife, the spirit of the dead wife takes over the body of of her daughter because she was dying, which is the reason she came to see him in the first place. All that, and you know, spookiness and tales follows. Spooky follows
Is the
after
least
that.
interesting one. What was that last
Yeah.
one you were about to talk about? The last one related to Ligaya or something like that. Ligaya.
Well, I think that's kind of the combination there with
Oh,
Tim
it is.
Legay.
Yeah. The last one is facts in the case of M. Valdemar. He tries to relieve his chronic pain by asking Razor Rathbone to hypnotize him. Something that leads him between life and death. Remember that guy?
Nope.
Anyways, you should check this out. Tales of Terror, which is in this set. I believe Kino released it not too long ago on Blu-ray.
Yeah, Kino has released a bunch of those,
And then
but
they also released Twice Told Tales, or Scream
yeah,
Factory. Someone released the Scream.
Kino
Someone
did
released them.
Twice Told Tales. Kino,
So yeah.
which is now I think out of print. So,
Oh,
yay!
I need Twice Told Tales still.
That's the one.
I know. North by Northwest or To Catch a Thief. Do you want to talk about either of those?
Hmm.
They
They're
were
both
good. You're
classic
welcome.
Hitch. Yes, they're both classic Hitchcock. Didn't you mention that To Catch a Thief, Hitchcock did that movie specifically because he wanted to go on vacation?
And the French Riviera. Yep.
So, like, the only reason he decided to do it was for that reason. And I have to say, like, it's a good movie because it's a Hitchcock movie, and like, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
he knows how to tell a great story,
Very visual filmmaker. Yeah.
even if he doesn't really care about it, right? Um, but at the same time, you can definitely tell that it's not something he put his whole heart into. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it feels very thin,
And
you
it's
know?
still a 9 out of 10. I rated it 9 out of 10. North by Northwest too. Both are 9 out of 10 for me.
Uh, I think North by Northwest is probably better, in my opinion.
Well, if I had to
Because
rank
Cary
them,
Grant,
yeah, but
I think, is so much better in that one. So,
I don't care.
but
So, do you remember a thing about Master of the Crack Fingers? Because I don't remember a goddamn thing about it. I've seen it like
I
three
do.
times.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, good. You talk about it because I don't remember a thing. I've seen the thing 3 times.
Okay, so what's interesting about it's part of the Jackie exploitation set. Getting it out of from underneath a bunch of other boys here. There we go. Jackie exploitation. It's the first movie on there that we watched, and it's
From Gold Ninja Video.
it had a lot in common, honestly, with a lot of other things that you would see in a bunch of other, martial arts movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It basically follows all the tropes, right? But what I found interesting is that the trope of the the kung fu master teaching the young child, like you see that in this movie, uh, although to a very disturbing effect. I found it very disturbing
You kept
because
mentioning child abuse.
there's a point at which this old guy in the woods that this kid just immediately fucking trusts asks the kid to take off all his clothes and get inside a bag with a bunch of snakes and scorpions and shit,
And he does it.
which
And we watch him
is
do it.
really fucked up and creepy. First of all,
It was so creepy.
old
I'm
man
laughing because it's
asks you
uncomfortable.
old man asks you to go to the woods at midnight and then take off all your clothes.
Time to go home.
Red flag. Big fucking
Meet
red
old man in the
flag.
woods at midnight. Red
What
flag
the
1.
fuck?
Get naked. Red flag 2. Get in the bag. Get red flag 3. You deserve to
But
die, Timmy.
it's worse because later on his own father makes him endure a punishment of like putting his fist in a fucking bunch of like shards of glass and
Mm-hmm.
shit, which
Inside
is
the
where the
pot, like push his hand
title
down.
of the name comes from. And it's like, so he's suffering abuse at home from his parents, and he's suffering abuse in the middle of the fucking woods at midnight from this old guy who nobody knows who the fuck he is or why he's there. Ultimately, proves out to be that this old guy is a pretty good teacher, mentor, although his methods are creepy as fuck, fucked up,
I
but
remember all this now that you're talking about.
But like it kind of reminded me in a lot of ways as I was watching it of Dragon Ball.
I was saying
I
it
couldn't
reminded me
help
of
but see it.
Karate Kid with the way, with the kinds of
Karate
things he
Kid,
was doing.
yes. There are lots of
Although Karate
elements
Kid
in
was less
Mission
abusive, I gotta
Miyagi.
say.
Yes, way less of it. Way less. But
We also got in a diatribe talking about how none of the Karate Kid movies are bad, even the
but
remake.
it reminded me of Dragon Ball because the Master Roshi in Dragon Ball is like that prototypical creepy as fuck old guy in the woods, or in this case on a fucking island, uh, who is a fucking pervert, right? That's like what we see in this movie. That the master is, it's
Okay.
basically Master Roshi, all right? Down to the point where, at one point in the movie, when we finally see the master fighting against somebody else, one of his big fucking moves against the bad guy is he literally farts in his face.
I know.
That's it.
That was the best
So
fucking part.
this movie is comedy
High art.
gold,
High art.
high art. Highly recommend you
Okay,
have to
I have
see
to
this
say now.
movie.
So this movie was cut from another film. So Jackie Chan did a movie at 17 called "The Cub Tiger from Kwang Tung," a movie we'll be watching at some point because it's also on this disc, this set. And when Jackie Chan got famous for doing his own stuff, and the producer of this movie and that movie took footage of Jackie Chan from that movie and put it and then made a bunch of new stuff to put around it, including scenes where they're obviously trying very hard to hide Jackie Chan's face, or the not Jackie Chan's face, I should say.
Yes.
Literally looking through the crook of someone's arm, like literally the most ridiculous things. You'll be like, "What the fuck?" It will make you laugh out loud how far they go to hide this person's face.
I
But yeah,
can't wait. I can't wait.
that's a really good movie, actually. You remembered me of all the parts I remember now. Like that's how I remember my memory works. I can't find the dots, but someone connects the dot. I go, "Oh yeah." Most of the time, I remember things like that.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that movie.
I
I
remember you
felt
enjoying
like
it.
it was surprisingly cohesive for something that was just put together an amalgamation of, you know, different movies and different ideas that were. But the reason it works, I think, is because they're playing on all the fucking tropes. The
Hmm.
reason things become tropes is because they work, you know?
Yeah, when done well.
Yeah.
So,
So, anyways,
um, hmm. Well, we could
what
do
else did we watch?
trilogy, or we're gonna pass it up and talk about Mortal Engines.
Um, hmm, that's a good question. I think trilogy is easy to handle really quickly.
Go for it then.
There's probably more to talk about with Mortal Engines.
Yes, go
All right.
for trilogy. I'm
Um,
saving Mortal for the end because it's the other big thing.
Trilogy of Terror is we watched Trilogy of Terror as well and Trilogy of Terror 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Dan Curtis
Separated
and
like 20
it's
plus years.
yeah, it's a fantastic fucking movie. I love the first story because the first story is I feel like a fairly early example of a woman who is at first seemingly being taken advantage of, who then proves to be the person who's actually taking advantage of the guy, getting one up on the guy in that case. And it's kind of like a revenge tale because the guy is he's basically a date rapist, and uh,
Basically, he is a date rapist.
he gets back at him for it, and I love it. But the one that everybody remembers from this, of course, is the one with the was a Zuni doll,
Zuni doll. Yep.
the Zuni African Zuni doll, um, which is creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Yes,
And those teeth.
those
Oh,
teeth,
that
of
reveal at
course.
the end.
Where's
What
the
the
fucking?
fuck, man?
I don't
I don't
even know
want to
where I
spoil it,
put
but
it.
I was like, what the hell? I was like, what? Took me like a whole
Yeah,
like, it's you're seeing at the last image. You're like, I'm like, what? Oh, 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 that's interesting. That's
yeah,
it. It's how I describe the ending of the last thing.
yeah. But I think my favorite story is probably the first one in this. And honestly, for a movie that was less than an hour and a half long, I think it was like 72 minutes or something like that, maybe
Something like that.
longer. It felt much longer than it was. It felt like a full, 90-minute movie, even though it wasn't 90 minutes. So,
And then Trilogy of
it's great.
Terror. Oh boy.
Trilogy of Terror 2
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, it wasn't bad. It's
Less
just
good.
that the problem is that the stories that are being told are stories that have already been told. The one with what's his
Bobby
face with
is
Bobby with the
recycled from
kid
Dead of Night, a previous film
is it's literally recycled from another movie, and then
from
the
Dan Curtis.
last story in Trilogy of Terror 2 is literally a recycle of the Zuni doll story
Like the
from
same things happen,
the
but in a
first
different
movie.
location.
Exactly, it's the exact same story,
I mean, it's
exact
a
same plot beat.
continuation that picks up immediately after the movie, but it's just
It's
the
the
same
same
story.
plot beat
Yeah.
for beat. So
I want a whole movie
it's
around
like
with a Zuni doll. Maybe not like,
that was my main problem with it
yeah.
is like you couldn't tell a slightly different story with the Zuni doll. The only get here is that it's in a different location. That's it. And it is that's my other issue with it is a continuation. It's like okay, then the same exact story just continue like the same exact thing happens twice in exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Same ending too. Sorry to spoil it if you've only seen one.
it's like for fuck's sake.
It's like, okay.
Uh, so
But
I didn't
it
hate
was a
the second
nostalgia
one, but
piece.
I
We
would say
we did talk
it's
about
yeah.
how they're separated like 20 years apart. It's really a nostalgia piece, so it's kind of like a lot of people haven't seen this movie in years. The first one. And so I kind of gave it a pass.
But what I would say is you don't need to watch it, right? If you've seen Trilogy of Terror, you don't need to see Trilogy of Terror 2, and Trilogy of Terror is better than Trilogy of Terror
I
2.
would
There's
say
nothing much added on in Trilogy
what
of
you
Terror
should do
2
is
that you
watch one
need
year
to
watch
see.
Trilogy of Terror, the next year watch Trilogy of Terror 2. I think you'll enjoy it more. We watched them back to back. Enjoyed them less that
Possibly.
way. Because there's the separation, your memory, you know. And then when you
Yeah,
see the same things happen, it's a little different feeling. It's like having an old friend come back.
fair. Fair.
Like I said, I didn't dock any points because of it. It's a nostalgia piece.
Yeah. Immortal Engine style. Mortal Engines.
Wow. I was blown away by the art style. My friend hasn't seen it. I'm going to watch it with them again.
So you know what I'm going to say? So I'm just going to say it. Miyazaki. It felt like a Miyazaki movie in live action.
Not really.
I know that's not the only influence, but I'm positive that was an influence
Well, I can see these both being
visually.
influenced by Howl's Moving Castle, the book.
I think even some elements of Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind.
Mm, I don't know. I feel like this is more influenced by like the steampunk era type stuff that's coming out in the last
And
30 years or so.
there was a scene though that was definitely reminiscent of Castle in the Sky too.
There are definitely references to anime in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
The one character looks very similar to Vouch the Stampede from Trigun. Um, I can't say for sure that Miyazaki didn't inspire the moving cities, but he needs to realize that that imagery has been around for a long time.
Hmm.
1986 or 7, I can't remember the exact year. Robot Carnival. The literal carnival is a rolling vehicle, like a whole city on wheels, that comes out and splays out and becomes like a carnival. People visit it and then it collapses back up and moves along. But that's an anthology movie too. Actually, it's one of my favorites. There's almost no
I think
dialogue
they
in the entire
I
movie.
think they referenced that in AI too, artificial
Oh,
intelligence.
maybe. I haven't seen Robot Carnival or AI in a long enough time. I own both of them on
You
Blu-ray though.
should do this.
You need to buy
I
Robot Carnival though.
Yes, I do.
It's on. I think it's like $30, so that's the problem. It's from a good company, but it's a little expensive. It's like Criterion quality anime though. It's one of the few I own. I paid full price for. It's like I gotta own this one. I need to still trying to get Angel Cop. I just can't seem to pull the trigger for like $30, which is what it's going for. Because it's the Criterion of anime. That kind of
For those
stuff.
who don't know, AI is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, I love
But
AI. I'd love to watch that eventually too. There's a lot of movies to rewatch, but I've got a pile of movies here to watch with you still.
yeah,
So, um, yes, the way this film toys with visual language that the younger generations can immediately know, like, because it's stuff they've grown up with, is very obvious. I mean, like, it's very strong. There's also, what's that game, Defiant, or, no.
Defiance
No, is that the one where
is a
you're an
game.
assassin walking around the? No, what was that called? Dishonored. Dishonored, like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Dishonored,
yeah.
like the main character, like the main, or the first antagonist of the movie, who later becomes a friend, has one of those like Dishonored type outfits going on. But there's like these vast steam world, steam. Like there's these vast like airships, and a fucking air city, and cities that ride around, and cities that are underground. There's that one, the Scuttle. That was like a mini like town that was underground or whatever. That was so fucking cool. And then like there's a city inside a wall. I mean, the imagination here was staggering to me and absolutely just incredible. Just incredible. But I mean, it wore its influences on skin. Like that what is that? Shrike, the robot cyborg creature thing was
Yeah.
1000% the director, the writer of the book probably went, hey, you know, it'd be really cool, what if this was a T800 and now it's 1,000 years later, because it has enough energy to regenerate skin for 800 years or 1,000 years or something like that. they say in Terminator 1, okay? So I imagine so then the skin rots off and you get this weird zombie essentially because it's organic material still hanging on to the cybernetic body. That's this creature. Like
I need to get this movie in 4K. Just remembered that.
I
Sorry.
would I would love to see this in 4K on a VR headset, you know, like or in a theater. I mean, like in like 5, 10 years when they start doing repertoire screens of this movie, I'm gonna go see it. We're gonna go see it or whatever, you know, because this movie and this bombed, and I have literally no idea how. I just
Um,
it subverts expectations in good ways. It has strong characters and all the genders and all the and various people of color and of course white people. Got to be the center of all everything, but you know, other than
it's
that,
I want to say like it's a bit much in the way that like it's an entire feast all crammed into 2 hours. You know what I mean?
hmm.
And that's as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, this really needs to be 3 movies.
It
But
needs to be at least two
there's
movies.
the problem is they're not. They were never going to give it 3 movies. Like Hollywood never would do something like that. But if they would have given an unproven property 3 movies,
I,
then chances are this would have been. I think people would have loved it. You know what I
this
mean?
if this was a Netflix series, this would be incredible, and this everyone would be
It
grooved
should be. I
all over
think
it.
they need to make
This
it.
needs to be
It's
remade
based
as a
on a.
series, yeah,
It's
or
based
continued
on a
a book, children's
young
book,
adult novel, right?
young adult book. Excuse me, not children's book, a young adult novel.
Well, there's obviously, or more than likely, going to be a lot more material to work with that they could
I
uh,
think there's a sequel, right?
make into a. I don't think so.
I'm gonna look it
I'd
up.
be surprised to find that out, but that
First
they
book in
could
the
make
series,
into
the
a
Mortal
series. Yeah.
Engines Quartet. There's 4 books. There's plenty to make a
I
series
guess
with.
I thought you meant like there was a sequel to the
Oh
movie.
no no no! I'm guessing. How much did the
But yes,
movie?
I got. That's what I'm saying is you could make it into a Netflix series easily.
Absolutely. Uh,
Have each book be an entire season. I have recently spoken out about
let's
doing
see
more and more
here.
series, but I would not have a problem with this one. You know, this would be awesome.
Municipal Darwinism. Ugh. That's what it was. Oh yeah, that's. Oh my God. There's also I mean, you can see the love and reverence that Christian Rivers and the writers and the original source material has for a lot of pop culture. Like the way the first city gets clawed into into London is very reminiscent of Transformers the movie. Like very. I immediately went like that's when the shuttle's flying this way, and then suddenly gets sucked back into Unicron's mouth. That's what that felt like because they were getting away and then boom. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me.
Oh yeah, there are definitely a lot of references to various pop culture moments in this movie, and that's what I think. I don't know. I want to say that's what I think that audiences probably thought was too much about it because there's just so much going on, right? And there's so many different references and so many different things being amalgamated into one story here. I think that's fucking awesome, personally, but I can also see how audiences would feel like bombarded by that all in one fucking movie, you know?
Apparently, in 2020, they uh uh the director no someone who the writer I guess said it's unlikely there'll be a TV series. That's bullshit. There should be a TV series. This is an incredible world.
Uh,
I want more time in it. There wasn't enough
yeah,
time in it.
it bombed, so of course.
I feel like
I,
it's the same disaster as Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, another movie that was really good and somehow just couldn't find its audience, and I don't get it. And in
yeah,
10 years, you're all gonna regret not backing it because we could have gotten. There's a series of those books, comics, so like we could have gotten like a series of those movies, set in each one visiting more extraordinary situations than the last, and like beautiful arts. God, imagine that Mobius art like Mobius. I don't think it's Mobius. It might not be Mobius. I can't remember the artist. I apologize.
Mobius is an artist, yes.
The artist, like, this art is just beautiful. Like I've seen the original, like pages from the Valerian book, right? I don't know. It's just God. I wish I'd gotten a sequel to. So many movies. I'm just like, Yeah. Why this bomb? You know, like
With
why did Cloud Atlas bomb? I don't fucking understand.
people weren't ready for it yet. Maybe people weren't ready for this one too. But Mortal
Nobody
Engines.
was ready. No, I guarantee nobody's ready for this fucking movie. Mortal Engines.
I know
Nobody's ready
nobody
for it.
was ready for AI either.
You're right. Nobody was ready for Cloud Atlas. Absolutely. That's a true fucking statement.
Yeah. Um, but when it comes to Mortal Engines, another thing that I really liked about it was just the way that it was shot, because it felt like it was shot like a comic book almost. There's so many
An anime,
splash
you would
pages.
say.
Well, anime, yes, but
Sorry. Just give me a hard time now.
well, but no, like a comic book. It felt like a
Yeah,
comic
I
book
know
with
what you
a bunch
mean.
of splash pages, throughout the film.
I mean, yeah, it's beautiful.
So
It's just beautiful.
yeah.
There's a lot of shots you're like, that's a painting. That's what it feels like, like that could be a painting.
Mm-hmm.
Just frame that, put it on my wall.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah. I I I gave this. What did I give this fucking movie? Something really good. Oh yeah, 8 out of 10.
I think I gave it like a 7.5 out of 10. But I really liked it.
Like it
Check
might
it.
go up in ranking for me just because I really fucking enjoyed this movie. I wish it were longer. I wish there was more time spent in this world. The world's
Yeah,
so cool that like
exactly. That was my main issue.
there were like all these cool locations that I wish we had time to visit and explore and breathe in for a while before they were fucking destroyed. You know, like I
Like
would love
imagine
like
if
that wall
there
city, the
were
floating city, the bunch of those other smaller cities. I want all those to be. I want to know all those stories. That sounds all fascinating to me.
imagine if there were 3 4 hour long extended edition
Or
films
4 3 hour long movies.
of this. Well, because of there are 4 fucking books. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. But no, I was trying to get to the point of like Lord of the Rings
yeah,
style. Yeah.
absolutely.
Imagine if Lord of the Rings style fucking
Produced by the same
effort
production
put
team,
into the fucking movie. Yeah.
which is
If
probably
they
why the
had
special
been
effects
given
are
enough of
incredible.
a chance, that's probably also why Hugo Weaving plays in it.
Yeah,
Hugo Weaving
and it's the
plays the
special
major
effects are
role.
incredible, like just incredible. So like apparently they modeled the cities in full scale, so they could literally just take the camera and just zoom into any part, or they have some bots and
You know what that
composite people
reminds
into it.
me of is Waterworld. Reminds me of
Yeah,
how
another movie the
the
world wasn't ready
Waterworld
for.
was
Now they just announced
fucking
a sequel.
crazy.
They announced they're
Yeah,
working on a
right.
sequel. I'm like, please make that happen. I want to see what happens after the Sound Dry Land. I hope it's a sequel to
Well, you know what
the
that
Ulysses
means?
cut.
It means it's going to take 20 fucking years before we can get a Mortal Engine sequel.
Ah
God damn
no!
it!
Well, if technology doubles, maybe we'll get it in 10 years instead. So like like technology doubles every time. So we're like down to like 2 years, 5 years, whatever, right? So we're at that. That's the same thing with creativity. Maybe in a few years we'll get a series. Either a reboot or a continuation. I'd be okay with either one. The world is just so rich with these characters, and a lot of moments feel like Star Wars, including there's a scene that basically is Anakin escaping the droid ship,
Yeah.
but
I think
somehow
there's an I am your
better.
father
There's an
scene
"I am your
too.
father" moment, yes,
Yeah.
where where visually he holds his hand out, he's about to say it, and something interrupts him because in pop culture everyone knows what that fucking means. So like,
And
yeah,
the story between what was it?
Shrike. Oh
Shrike.
my god,
Okay.
that was amazing. That was
That's
incredible.
my favorite aspect of it, honestly. But
Yeah,
that story also kind of reminded me. I haven't even seen or read much of Full Metal Alchemist, but what I know of it, that reminds me of that.
a little
Full
bit. It
Metal
reminds me of if you were gonna do anime and force the anime thing, even though it's clearly a Terminator reference.
forcing it in there,
It's clearly Terminator. That feels more like a Eat Man, or like one of them like Wandering the Desert robot movies, like that happened to be animes back in the 80s and 90s. It was a theme, but like yeah, like something like that. But I guarantee you that inspiration is Terminator. It's the Terminator. It's the very first Terminator. 100%. It's the Terminator. You want to know why? How I know? Literally, there's an explosion. He walks out of it in the same manner as the Terminator in Terminator One when the truck explodes. Same exact pose scene, same almost same movements. I mean, like, it was the same scene, but different because it's his own movie. But like, you can clearly see the homage to Terminator
Well,
here.
that's what I love about the movie, though, is like there are all these homages, but it's still unique
Yeah, he does his own.
because
Christian
it's
Rivers
like
has
a
his own
unique
spin.
amalgamation of all these things. This
Yeah,
is the part of postmodern art that I fucking love the most is that you can take all these ideas that are not original and by combining them into a collage of different things being brought together to create an entirely new thing. You create the entirely new thing that's made up of all these
I mean,
unoriginal
if you
things.
want to see the essence of that is every film by Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
All of them
Uh,
are references, like endless references to movie scene, like literally shot by shot. Their sequences and follows to another sequence taken from not stolen from another movie and another one, and then just the whole movie. But it's its own thing because he's written the dialogue. It's its own thing. Sometimes there's dialogue references, a lot of its own original stuff, and there's characters are unique and like yeah,
but I feel like
same thing but different.
Mortal Engines, especially, is a great example of
Hmm.
collage. I guess you could call it collage filmmaking.
It's
A
collage story,
collage of all these,
collage storytelling.
yeah, of all these
I
other.
mean, I guess technically it's pop storytelling, right? Like it's like pop music. Well, it's not really vapid though. Hmm.
No, yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
never
call
mind.
it that.
But yeah, it's movies that are clearly postmodern. Sorry, I meant to only say it once, but my brain
Yeah.
tripped over the word.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it's really
fucking
cool. I like
loved. I fucking loved Mortal Engines, and I literally can't wait to watch it with my friend Nessie when they get time because holy shit, that's gonna be so much fun, and I hope they love it because like, oh god, jeez, so cool. Anyway, I give it 2 thumbs up. Highly recommend it. Don't listen to your friend's bad review. He doesn't like movies like you do. That's why
Yeah,
you're watching the show. Because
your friend
remember,
is fucking stupid.
hey, don't insult their friend.
Sorry.
But remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie, just bad experience or a bad audience. So if you didn't like the movie, doesn't mean it's bad. It means you didn't like it. It didn't connect with you. So, with that being said, do you have any last words, Justin?
Um, no, not this week. Maybe next week.
Oh, my
Or the
last
week
thing
after
is
that.
I've watched a lot of Elvis movies. There will be an episode where I in depth talk about the best and worst Elvis movies. I have 23 of his 31 movies to watch. So
Oh, I guess I could say one thing then. I think based on what I've done research on, it might actually be in the public domain. But Samuel Fuller wrote a movie called Power of the Press in
yeah,
1943. Go watch it. It's fucking
he
amazing.
did. We're probably gonna end up watching it at some point.
It's really fucking good,
Yeah. Well, it's Samuel
and
Fuller.
has a lot of correlations to what's happening in today's media. So
Absolutely.
absolutely must watch.
So thank you for watching. We're here every other Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific. In between, I'll be doing streams. So there'll always be streaming 8 p.m. Pacific here on Wednesdays. Um, Tuesdays at noon Pacific, I do art and tea, and Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, I do games with my friends. It's Trans Girls Gaming. We're all trans girls. We're all gaming. It's good shit. Um, yeah, and then I just stream an extra bunch of extra bunch. Just hit that follow button, cause I'm pretty cool and you know it. Bye
Yeah.
everybody. Go to cinnamon.com. I gotta make a command for that.